Hello and welcome to my second video. Today I think it's time we talked about something most people poke fun at, but no one likes to discuss in a very intelligent way. Okay, if you haven't seen my first video, which to be honest is mostly me gawking at Sailor Moon, but good god, what to gawk at, you would notice I took some time out to express my confusion at the use of the word otaku when describing someone who loves anime and manga. My main gripe is that the word in Japan has a very negative connotation amongst most, much like the words neckbeard, NEET, and basement dweller have in the West. I'm not about to say the word should be changed, if I would call myself an otaku. I just don't want to have to meet a Japanese person one day and have to go on a long rant about how the word got its meaning changed and how there are now droves of people proudly identifying with a term that their culture has great disregard for. Now that I've gotten my problem with the word otaku out of the way, I'd like to say I'm happy the word exists. Prior to knowing I could call myself an otaku, I had to say I was a person who liked anime and manga. Then I found this word that describes me in not nearly as many syllables. So that's how it went on. I carried on using the word to describe myself. It fit quite well. Star Trek fans were Trekkies, tabletop players were our peers, while me and my Japan-loving peers were known as otaku. Or so I thought, because in recent years a certain subset of otaku have plunged the rest of us into the dark realm where bronies, homestuckers, larpers, and cosplayers coexist. I'm talking about the NONMFO. Nerds of the Nerds Make Fun. This certain subset of otaku has somewhat damaged not only the reputation of otaku at large, but the perception of otaku media in general. People are less inclined to take anime or manga seriously, or even try giving it a chance, because of these select few who they fear will make the experience an unnecessary pain. If you're wondering why I haven't said the word yet, there are two reasons. Firstly, I find the word stupid, and I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce it. But I'll try anyway. Yes, today we're gonna talk about weaboos, desus and all. Before we start, I think we need to do some internet history about the term weaboo. As is with most things on the internet, our story begins with early 4chan. Sometime around the early anime boom, in the early 2000s, 2003 to be exact, the word Wapanese was frequently used on image boards to describe people with love for all things Japanese. It was mostly a derogatory term to describe people who wanted to be Japanese, i.e. Wapanese, wannabe Japanese. Yeah, moving on. The word was so widely used and rustled so many jimmies that the 4chan mods of old actually did something creative. You remember that, guys? When they actually did shit instead of just taking down boards left and right. I digress. The moderators used a word filter for the word Wapanese, replacing it with a nonsense word from a Peri-Bible webcomic. The comic treats the word as anything undesirable, hence the man getting spanked violently for mentioning it. This is either the biggest case of internet irony known to man, or genius foresight on the side of 4chan's moderators. And knowing the mods of old, I wouldn't be so quick to write off the latter. Funny enough, the word filter did its job. Kinda. Instead of stopping the fights on the boards, the word filter simply gave the trolls a new word to play, the word that would eventually grow into the spiteful slur we know and love to this day. And just like that, stereotypes began to form, civil war-like infighting between anime fans began to erupt, with one side calling the other a weeaboo and claiming to be an otaku. So much hate, so much pain, so much madness. It was delicious. Now, as I said earlier, weeboos are a subset of otaku. People try to write them off as something different entirely. But saying this is saying that they themselves aren't a type of otaku. The word otaku, as it is viewed in the West, is one who likes anime and manga. And if there's one thing everyone on the internet agrees on, it's that weeboos love their anime. The more important thing is that while I would say I'm the same as a weeboo in terms of what I like, I am different in how I like it. To quote Bob Chipman, it's both about what you're into and how you're into it. Weeboos are known for a lot of things, and mainly these 5 things: excessive use of Japanese words in replacement of English, ability to memorize and recite anime opening theme songs, being loud and obnoxious about their love of our anime, favoritism of Japanese imports over domestic equivalents, guarding the manga section of your local bookstore. Now before I continue, I have to bring about the confession box again. Father, I have sinned, for I must commit to acts of weeaboodom. I can recite at least 4 openings of Bleach and countless other anime I watch.
Well, I'm not ashamed, stuff is well catchy.
Every time I go to Barnes & Noble, I make a beeline for the manga section for stuff I couldn't find scanlated online.
What? Karakuri Dojo Ultimo doesn't have a scanlation team anymore. And remember what they say, support the mangaka.
I have a tendency to gravitate towards Japanese games and shy away from Western ones.
How many times do I have to say this? The fact that Kingdom Hearts 2 is my favorite video game and I find Western shooters unappealing only shows what my personal taste in video games are, not my preference towards where they're from.
And every now and then, for comedic value, I'll go off on a Japanese riff. Konnichiwa, minasan! Minasan genki da na. Sore de ii yo. Kini shinai. Minasan genki desu. Now that I'll have you cringing sufficiently, let's move on. Something I notice a lot of fans doing nowadays is restricting themselves from expressing their love for anime, or hiding their power level as some would put it. They do this out of the fear of being cast in the same die as weeaboos. They prefer to keep their fandom a secret, resulting to being a closet otaku. This is both really sad and aggravating at the same time. In my school, for instance, I have a friend who prefers we don't talk about Naruto at the lunch table, even though no one really cares whether we do or don't. He just feels like he has to hide that part of himself because of the stigma that liking anime seems to have nowadays. I'm getting a bit dark and off topic, so I think we should move on. All I think is that it's a bit silly for us fans to limit ourselves to how much we can really express our fandom. Being otaku to me is about embracing a culture very different from your own and forming a bond with the media of that culture. It's what makes us who we are. I'm not gonna apologize for knowing every word of Velonica and Shoujo S. I'm not gonna apologize that all my favorite video games have a common trait of being Japanese in origin. I'm also not gonna apologize for wanting to learn Japanese enough to stop in the middle of an episode and search up how a certain word can be used in a sentence. These things don't make me a weeboo. Obsessed with anime? Yes. Weeboo? Of course not. If you're humble enough to admit that there are serious problems with the Japanese, as is with every other country, England, America, and definitely Nigeria included, you're not a weeboo. If you don't froth from the mouth with anger as soon as someone says an anime is bad for a valid reason, you're not a weeboo. Don't spaz out like a retarded chimp. Talk to them. Explain things to them. If they call you out and you can't make a comeback, then maybe you are wrong and they are right, and what you're defending can't be defended. Nothing's perfect. The flaws of something attribute to its greatness as much as its strengths. If you like something that has flaws and you're willing to accept them, you're the best kind of fan there is. Now for the next topic, let me give you all a quick tip on how to deal with an anime hater without coming across as a weirdo. Firstly, what not to say. Firstly, don't speak Japanese. If they insult a character you like that happens to be female, don't call her your waifu. How dare you insult my waifu! Lastly and most important, if they bring up an American show that has good animation, just don't say this. The Japanese have heart in their work, the Americans just do it for money. This last one gets to me because of how false it is. There's an element of business on both sides. If the Japanese weren't doing it for money, they wouldn't be releasing 11 new moe/high school shows in this season alone. And if you can tell me with a straight face that shows like Avatar: The Last Airbender, Adventure Time, and yeah, even regular show have no heart in them, then you're just retarded. Now here are the different types of attacks and how to deal with them. First one. All anime is the same, it's all tentacles and Pokemon. This one, just ignore. There are either one of three things: trolling, stupid, or a time traveler from the mid-90s. Secondly, anime has bad animation quality. I know you'll be tempted to recommend a mountain of your favorite masterpieces, but chill. They were probably told the same thing by the last guy who told them they were wrong. Instead of trying to show them the best the Japanese animation has to offer, just find a really fun, preferably obscure show or movie with very above average animation. Also, try giving them some insight into how animation works in Japan, and that the budget gets used mostly on design, and that Western animation is usually given a longer production cycle, so time constraints and budget constraints are both things they have to worry about in Japan. Oh, and if you're wondering about an anime to recommend to one of these people, one word: Redline. In conclusion, if you ever wondered if wanting to say a Japanese word in your sentence just to show how much you've learnt makes you a weeaboo, it doesn't necessarily, it's still a bit annoying. And about preferring everything from Japan to the West, it's usually just preference, so saying that you're a weeaboo simply because of what you prefer is a tad bit fascist. Just give them well thought out reasons beyond "Heard der Japan is the bestest ever, desu desu." And also, develop a thicker skin. Don't get butthurt over the word, and don't flame people just because they think anyone who likes anime is a weirdo. What we like and how we like it are nobody's business but our own. And in some cases, maybe when things get out of hand, the police. Talking to you, lolicons. But seriously, we shouldn't feel the need to hide our desire to sing J-pop from anime we like, or try to hold conversations in Japanese. And who cares if we're NO and MFO? I belong to 3 out of the 4 things I listed there anyway. I obviously don't care, neither should you. Do what you want, express yourself however you please, just don't be unintelligible about it. Research things about Japanese culture, even the negatives, and don't be overly defensive when you're called out. It's fine to do things that others might call you a weebo for, because in the end, it's fun for you, and that's all that matters. Except the Hare Hare Yukai dance. That shit can stay in 2008 where it belongs. Well, that's it for me. Thank you, and like and comment if you want, just like the last time. Bye.